We're kicking off with Monday Night Raw, and before John Cena could say anything during the opening segment of the show, he was interrupted by Cody Rhodes. Rhodes listed off ways Cena could mock him, including his time as Stardust, as well as forging a company where fans booed him, a not-so-subtle nod to AEW. Cody questioned why Cena had turned his back on the fans after all these years, but Cena fired back, saying he was going to bury Rhodes just like he'd done to everyone else. Going further, Cena said that for years fans have claimed that he buries talent before declaring that I am talent, and what he buries is mediocrity. Not to be outdone, Rhodes said he was picked by the fans, while John was chosen by a certain individual who's not here anymore and we don't talk about him. This was a rare nod to Vince McMahon, but Cena had a fiery retort claiming that he makes empires for billionaires, while all Cody has done is steal money from their kids. While AEW wasn't referenced by name, this was a nod to Tony Khan, and one has to wonder if Khan or an AEW talent will address this in the future, possibly on this week's Dynamite. Responding to Cody bringing up that he and John used to travel together, Cena branded the WWE champion his chauffeur, who learned all he could on being a top star from Cena. The two men finally brought up The Rock and Cena selling out to the final boss, and while fans didn't get an explanation, at least having The Rock be referenced is a step in the right direction. The pair went back and forth for 20 minutes, but as Cena went to leave, Rhodes hit him with a "you can't wrestle" line that prompted Cena to return to the ring. The pair went to square off and Cena would try to strike Cody, but Rhodes countered and dropped him with the crossroads. Both men delivered strong performances in this segment, and even though this was the third segment like this in a row between the two, they made it work. Having Rhodes stand tall with the undisputed WWE Championship was the right way to end this segment in what is expected to be the last face-to-face for the two ahead of WrestleMania 41. But who do you think came out better in this war of words, and who do you predict will leave WrestleMania as undisputed WWE champion? Let us know your thoughts down below. Rhodes was the one left standing tall, but with this expected to be their last face-to-face, why did WWE choose to have Cody, not John Cena, have the edge? After all, in theory, it would have made more sense for Cena to be the one with the advantage, making Rhodes into more of an underdog and giving fans a reason to rally behind him. Well, one reason behind WWE's booking could be that WWE wants to simply put Cody Rhodes as on the level or even above Cena to give him more credibility ahead of WrestleMania. With that in mind, it would have been foolish for Cena to be the one standing tall at the end of this segment, as Rhodes now has a ton of momentum behind him. While WWE may want to build Rhodes up, this segment may have spoiled that Cena will be winning at WrestleMania, especially if this is their last time sharing the ring before the PLE. WWE typically has whoever is on top in the final segment lose in the big match, meaning that we could be mere weeks away from John becoming a 17-time WWE World Champion. Having Cena be attacked this week, though, may have also set up The Rock's return, especially given the final boss's involvement was finally brought up this week. While Cena will be away filming movies ahead of WrestleMania, that doesn't mean The Rock won't show up, and he may get payback on Rhodes for the 16-time world champion. Well, after what happened in Toronto, Rhodes is also wanting a piece of The Rock, and did this segment set up the return of the Brahma Bull? Time will tell. The war of words between Cena and Rhodes instantly had people talking as expected, with the references to AEW and Tony Khan sparking a lot of discussion online. On Twitter, MJF shared his 2 cents on the matter, saying he doesn't get why fans get all up in arms when WWE mentions or references AEW. Similarly, MJF is confused when there's backlash to an AEW promo mentioning WWE and told fans, if you want to be treated like children, watch Elmo. MJF also added that fans should tell VKM to start a new promotion, a nod to reports that McMahon has plans for an entertainment company and potential wrestling promotion. MJF has never shied away from mentioning WWE and for years teased leaving AEW to join the competition before opting to sign a new contract with Tony Khan. But what do you make of his comments? Do fans make too big of a deal out of AEW and WWE mentioning one another? Let us know in the comments section. In a match made during last week's show in Glasgow, Jimmy Uso set out to knock Gunther down a peg, but the World Heavyweight Champion looked extra aggressive right out of the gate. Gunther controlled the action early, but Jimmy Uso turned the tide with a dive at ringside, though not even an Uso splash could put their ring general away. A brutal chop turned the tide in favor of the champion, and Gunther could have won the match twice shortly after, but lifted Uso off the mat to prolong the punishment. This was a strong reminder of just how dangerous the ring general could be, and he took Jimmy apart piece by piece before he chose to end the match with a sleeper hold. There was a botch after the match, as when Gunther got the win, WWE showed the graphics for Jey Uso on the screens as the Austrian's theme song started playing. This took place before Jey Uso came out to save his brother, accidentally spoiling what was about to happen in an embarrassing mistake on WWE's part. Sure enough, Gunther put Jimmy back in the sleeper hold after the match, prompting Jey to run down and make the save, prompting Gunther to escape through the crowd. Just as Jey consoled Jimmy, Gunther returned and attacked both men and used zip ties to trap Jey, keeping the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble winner confined to the ring ropes. Held at bay, Jey Uso had to watch on helplessly as Gunther destroyed Jimmy even further, leaving Big Jim a bloodied mess in the ring. The shocking image of Gunther drenched in the blood of Jimmy Uso was perhaps the most shocking visual of 2025 so far, and this was exactly what this feud required. Jey has a huge reason to hate Gunther, adding another layer to their feud beyond wanting the World Heavyweight Championship title in Las Vegas. Fans will have to wait until WrestleMania to see if Jey can get revenge, or if the Ring General will once again stand tall with the gold on the line, just as he was in London. In the main event of Raw, Rhea Ripley finally got her Women's World title rematch against Io Sky, a controversial match given all that has unfolded as of late. Despite not being in the WrestleMania match, Ripley signed the contract alongside Sky and Bianca Belair, and the EST was forced to serve as the guest referee this week. That added even more unpredictability going into the match, and both Sky and Ripley got warm welcomes by the fans of the United Kingdom. In a major moment, the fans chanted for Sky as the match began, proving her popularity, at least on this night, surpassed Mommy and her fan base. The two locked up and fought for control before being forced to make a break, and Sky took advantage after Ripley got into a handful of arguments with Belair. The match was easily the match of the night, with both women leaving everything in the ring, and the few hiccups, including a botched Poison Rana, didn't hurt the ever-intensifying momentum in the bout. Ripley accidentally kicked Belair out of the ring, meaning there was no one around to count when she hit Riptide, and when Bianca finally made the count, Sky kicked out at 2. Sky ended up taking out Belair by mistake a few moments later, so Belair called for the bell and threw the match out as a double DQ, meaning Sky kept the gold. All three women began brawling, and the show would end with Rhea Ripley standing tall, once again teasing a triple threat match between these women at WrestleMania 41. As to how Ripley will officially be entered into the match, that remains to be seen, but once again, WWE has shown that Mommy's involvement isn't a question of if, but when. One name fans didn't see on Raw was Alexa Bliss, but it appears the goddess was keeping a close eye on the show, and especially the main event match. After the show went off the air, Bliss took to Twitter to share a gif of herself saying, "Why?" along with a shrug emoji for good measure. This tweet set off speculation, with some fans questioning if she was reacting to how the Women's World title match ended, while others wondered if it was a general comment at WWE. Perhaps Bliss was taking aim at her creative direction or lack thereof within the company, as she's not appeared since Elimination Chamber Toronto last month. Her name has not been tied to any WrestleMania plans, and at first fans thought she'd been sidelined for storyline reasons, though now people think something else is going on. For now, all Bliss can do is ask why, while the WWE universe around the world is asking when they will see the former women's champion back in the ring. On the latest edition of WWE LFG, Mickie James took issue at the ring attire of Zena Sterling, claiming that her attire was akin to lingerie and an era of over-sexualization for women. This comment sparked a debate online, with some siding with Mickie, while others argued that Sterling should be able to wear whatever she wishes if she finds it appropriate. In a tweet of her own, Sterling responded to the controversy, saying she's found an attire Mickie won't yell at her for, a pink bodysuit that covers her from head to toe. Some have called out Mickie for a perceived double standard, arguing that James has worn skimpy attire similar to Sterling's throughout her wrestling career in WWE, TNA, and beyond. What do you think about Mickie James's comments on Zena Sterling's gear? Is Sterling in the wrong with her attire, or is Mickie overreacting? Share your thoughts below. Back to Raw, as the New Day wanted to prove that they deserved a shot at the tag team titles, and Adam Pearce said they could earn it against Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. New Catch Republic controlled the pace early with quick double team offense against Xavier Woods, and the match cut to a break with both New Day members out at ringside. Woods and Kingston fought back, but Dunne and Bate had the upper hand for much of the match before the New Day made a comeback and got the win with their Daybreak finisher. This was a fun match, capped off by the World Tag Team Champions Eric and Ivar appearing to make it clear they were ready for Woods and Kingston. AJ Styles was in the ring after a commercial break, and while WWE had hyped the segment as Logan Paul calling him out, Styles wasn't willing to wait and was out first. When Paul emerged, the crowd's boos were so loud that Paul was barely audible as he delivered his usual speech about being richer and more famous than his opponent. The two ended up brawling, with Styles gaining the upper hand until Paul hit a low blow using the ring ropes, followed up with his Paul Demiser finisher on the former WWE champion. This was a relatively paint-by-numbers segment and went as expected between the two, and shortly after, Adam Pearce made their match official for WrestleMania 41. In a backstage segment, Finn Balor confirmed the idea of trying to find a new member was no longer a topic of discussion before he and Dominik Mysterio made their way to the ring. There was also a noteworthy moment as Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez discussed having an issue with Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, perhaps a tease of a tag title match at WrestleMania. If so, it'd give Valkyria a chance to become a double champion, but would also likely mean that a Women's Intercontinental Championship match wouldn't take place at Allegiant Stadium. Raw also saw Maxine Dupree speak to Adam Pearce about opportunities for herself and Natalya, perhaps teasing that these two will be entering the women's tag title picture. With WrestleMania, fans can't count out WWE having a multi-team women's tag match to get as many stars on the card as possible, and we'll only know for sure as we get closer to the show. After facing off last week, Penta and Bron Breakker found themselves as teammates on Monday as they faced off against Balor and Mysterio. Penta quickly took Dom down, allowing Breakker to bulldoze him with a shoulder tackle, and the combination of Penta and Bron made for an exciting duo against the experienced Judgment Day. Penta was on defense after the break, but eventually tagged in a fresh Breakker who manhandled both opponents, but a misstep would result in Breakker spearing Penta. This set up Balor to hit the coup de grace for the win, and while this was perhaps the more interesting outcome, this was going to be an entertaining match no matter the finish. This also marked the first time Penta has been pinned since coming to WWE, and a major shift for the masked star ahead of his brother Rey Fenix's debut on this week's SmackDown. After the match, the Judgment Day celebrated backstage, and Finn claimed that he won the match, a comment that didn't sit well with Liv Morgan. While Finn did indeed get the pinfall for his team, Morgan made clear to Dominik that she didn't like Balor's telling of things, showing that there's still tensions in the group. And that was this week's Raw, and what did you think of the show? Share your thoughts on this week's episode down in our comments section below. While Raw went off the air with Rhea Ripley standing tall, that wasn't the end of the night for the fans in London as they got a chance to see CM Punk in action after the show. Punk took on Ludwig Kaiser in a dark match and got the win over the German following a diving crossbody and hitting the GTS. The fans were thrilled to see Punk get the win, a victory that gives Punk more momentum ahead of his first WrestleMania main event where he'll battle Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. As for Kaiser, he was on Raw to criticize Adam Pearce for failing to find a spot for him on the WrestleMania card and demanded that this change soon or he'll take action into his own hands. Punk was pleased to get the win in the UK and had a unique way to celebrate with the fans inside London's O2 Arena. Standing on the ropes and soaking in the atmosphere, Punk told the crowd that "We're gonna play a song that my wife April really loves" before Queen's Fat Bottomed Girls filled the arena. The crowd burst into song as Punk took in the moment, which came just one day after the 10th anniversary of his wife's most recent match to date. AJ Lee hasn't competed since the Raw after WrestleMania 31 on March 30th, 2015, and while it's been a decade since fans have seen her, the fans certainly haven't forgotten about her. Now, with Sonya Deville's release from WWE, there's been questions about the future of the remaining members of Pure Fusion Collective, Zoey Stark and Shayna Baszler. While we don't know what's to come for Baszler, but Stark may already be teasing a dramatic gimmick change, one with an Attitude Era throwback. As we previously reported, Stark recently criticized a spot at a live event where Rhea Ripley smacked her butt with a kendo stick, calling it "What's wrong with women in today's society?" During Raw, Stark continued this gimmick as she took issue with the guest referee attire Bianca Belair wore, saying it was not how an official should dress, and censored the image. It's certainly interesting that Stark has taken issue with other women twice now, and in the comments, fans suggested that Stark is kicking off a new era of the right to censor. For fans who may not remember, the RTC was a group that opposed sexuality and violence in wrestling and drew major heat with fans before disbanding in 2001. Do you think Stark is teasing a character change, and is this a character you want to see on WWE programming? Let us know down in the comments.